Lastly, but definitely not least, this is probably the last video in my overview of my library. And here are the books of Aqeedah and Shaykh al-Islām ibn Taymiyyah. So I'm going to put the books of Shaykh al-Islām ibn Taymiyyah all in one place. And of course he has much more books than what I have here, but I'm still in the process of collecting his books and reading them. And then also other books of Aqeedah here. So this is Minhaj al-Sunnah, which is a reply against the Rāfidah of the Shia, and also Kitab al-Nubuwwat, which is of his last books that he has, which talks about the issues of, he has a bunch of replies against the Ash'ari beliefs when it comes to Nubuwwat, and also definitely pulls it apart in a bunch of different ways. Al-Isbahaniyya, there's a sharh that he did of a matan that is actually Ash'ari, and he did a sharh of their Ash'ari matan with replies against different things in the Ash'ari things. And then these are some of the other books that he has here as well. Siyasa al-Shari'iyya, which is also important, and some of the other Intisar al-Athar, and also Jami' al-Masail. This, if we're to look at some of so you have Majmua Al-Fatawa, and then there's another, then after that we also have Jami' al-Masail. So Majmua Al-Fatawa has a lot of his books in there, and if you can find these books by themselves, they'll probably be better and taken care of more. But if you don't have the ability to buy all of these books by themselves, then of course having the Majmua is better, and it's also a good place to go to because you'll find things in it that you won't find elsewhere. So there's Majmua Al-Fatawa, which is all these volumes. This is the cheapest. I don't know if it's the cheapest, but it's a cheaper version of Majmua Al-Fatawa, and I like it because like the even though yes, it is kind of a cheaper binding and everything, at the same time like the khat in it is nice, and it's light, it's not very heavy, and also the Fahris is not bad, it's nice. Also Sharh al-Umdah of his, like kind of a work of his, and fiqh. Of course he's something else when it comes to everything that he touches. He definitely has a whole lot of insight to bring into every single thing that he talks about. This Aqeedah, Sirāt al-Mustaqim. It's a very important book, understanding bid'ah and also understanding to stay away from it. And also here's another book, Akmaliyah, where he talks about al-Kamal. Talks about kind of the Sifat and the principle of Walillahi al-Mathalul A'la, and then also Furqan بين أولياء الرحمن وأولياء الشيطان. This goes into some of the issues that seeped into the Sufiya, and talking about who is really awliya of Allah, and then also Asaram al-Maslul, and talking about the Shatim al-Rasul. So talking about the rulings of someone who speaks ill about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's a lot of other benefits, not just talking about this issue, but it's definitely, all of his books are filled with benefits all over the place. Like it's not, he doesn't, when he talks about something in a book, he doesn't merely talk about the issue at hand, but he talks all around the issue as well. And the issues that he talks around are just as beneficial as the issue at hand. You know, so I find tons of benefits, whether it's from usul, or whether it's from also like something in a logawi benefit, or all kinds of hadith benefits. There's tons of benefits. He's kind of scatterbrained in the way that he talks. Not scatterbrained, like there's a purpose behind it, but if he didn't talk around these other issues, we probably never would have got his insight on them, because he mostly focused on the biggest issues at hand, and he didn't necessarily go into all the furu' or the ulum ad-din. This is also another really good book. Sharh Hadith Abi Bakr as-Siddiq. Anhu minni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kabira wa kathira. And so that particular book, there's also a silsila online by Shaykh Abdul Razak, that he goes through, Abdul Razak al-Husayni, I believe, that he goes through the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. I don't think he's gone through all of them, but he goes through many of them. He starts with the books of Tazkiyah, and this is the first books that he does. Also the book al-Rubūbiyyah, that is of the books that he starts off, and he goes through the books of Tazkiyah first, which is a great way to go through the books of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. And then here's some of the other books that have to do with his book. So we also have al-Tadmuriyyah, and then Intisar al-Tadmuriyyah. This is like the Sharh, which goes against like the i'tiradat that the Ashʿarī brought against Tadmuriyyah. He basically, in this book, the author here, Amir Abdul Karim, he basically replies to them in great detail. And also, so Fatwa al-Hamawiyah, this is a very important book for people to understand and to read. And also As-Safadiyya, and also Jawab al-i'tiradat and al-Fatwa al-Hamawiyah. And here's some of the other books. And we also have Sharh Aqeedah Wasatiyya. These are the shuruh that I have on his books. Sharh Aqeedah Wasatiyya by Ibn Uthaymin. It's a great sharh, And also an Uqūd al-Dhahabiyyah by Shaykh Sultan al-Umayri. He breaks apart the Ashʿarī creed while explaining Aqeedah Wasatiyya. And he does, his explanation is in a different way. It's not like explaining the wordings of the book, but rather he uses like the basis of it for him to give like the foundations of breaking apart their usul, and shows the issues of their manhaj when it comes to a lot of the ways they deal with sifat and whatnot. Also, and this is also, this is kind of like a tafrigh of his lessons that he had that are up on YouTube as voice, so you can listen to the lectures that he had. Also, Mawqif ibn Taymiyah min al-Ashā'irah is also very important. In the second volume, he talks about some of the ways that he dealt with them and the ways that he had great respect for them and didn't necessarily, of course, he didn't do takfir of them, and talked about the way that he dealt with his opposition with respect. And also al-Jami' li-Sīrat Shaykh al-Islām ibn Taymiyah. He talks about a lot of this, brings together a lot of his life story and whatnot. Also al-Istiqāmah, also of the Majmūʿ. So we have Majmua Al-Fatawa ibn Taymiyah. And we also have Jami' al-Masail. It's also another thing to get a bunch of the small books maybe that weren't in Majmua Al-Fatawa. Then there's also, to pick up the loose ends, there's also here the Majmūʿ Rasail ibn Taymiyyah, Rasail wal Masail al-Mutanawwi'ah. And then there's two of these. There's one, and then there's two. And these will have like small little fatwa. Maybe it's a couple pages long. Maybe it's a piece of something that they caught that wasn't in the other ones. And so they would bring that up here. And there's very interesting masail that are inside of that. Also al-Istiqāmah, which is basically a rad on Rasail al-Qushayriyyah. It's basically a rad on this book here, Rasail al-Qushayriyyah, Sufiyya. But it's also it's not like in and of itself, it is tasawwuf Sunni, which is very important that people understand is a good thing. Also, at-Tis'īniyah, this is a very good book. I found this particular version of it because I don't know where the other version is, but this is not a bad version at all. And so, also then the rest of these books I have down here, some of them are like kind of Salafi classics, such as Ma'arij al-Qabul, and also here's Ibana fi Usul al-Diyana by Imam al-Ashʿarī, Abu Hassan. And this, if someone reads it, they'll understand that Imam al-Ashʿarī, he definitely was on something other than what the Ash'arīs are upon. The Ash'arīs are upon something else than what he is. And like just the way he does his istidlal on certain things, it does not work in line with what the Ash'arīs today believe. So he was on the manhaj of ithbat of the sifat. It says, of course, that Allah has two hands and a face and whatnot, and that he has the other sifats that he mentioned. Of course, there might be some minor issues in it that maybe we wouldn't agree with, but these are some other good books as well. And Minna is a very good book for understanding the Salafi i'tiqād, and in general, like having a good and basic view of that. Also, there's another book, Fiqh al-Khilaf. This is not necessarily a book of Aqeedah, but it's very important for people to learn and to study, because this issue happens, like people don't understand Khilaf, and it's something within the Salafi sphere that creates a lot of issues. So here's some other the books here as well as Sharia and Ajurumi. Also Ashʿarī and al-Maturidiyyah. This is a good book. It talks about kind of the issues of where they go off in Mizan Ahl Sunnah, and there's also a mukhtasar of that book as well. There's a book about the Ashʿarī in general. And here's some of the other books for al-Ishtibāh. I don't have the books of al-Mu'allimi, except for this book. And this book, so far, as I've been going through it, and it's very beneficial. There's so many benefits that you won't find elsewhere. That's one of the things, like Shaykh al-Islām ibn Taymiyyah, he'll come up with things that you won't find this istinbāṭāt. You won't find this view anywhere else, but you'll find it with Shaykh al-Islām ibn Taymiyyah or Ibn Qayyim. And also, like him, Mu'allimi, he will bring out things from the Quran and Sunnah that you won't hear a tafsir like him from anyone else. And so this is of the benefits. He brings something new. It's not just him bringing what was before and repeating, but he has his own views that will bring up, of course, not in opposition to the views that other people have held, but it's definitely, he brings something new to the table. You know, some of the other books of Abdul Aziz al-Turayfi, and also here's a Sharh al-Tadmuriyyah by Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, Kashf al-Shubuhat, and some of the other books, Kitab al-Tawheed, here by Ibn Khuzaymah. And also here's some of the other books that are by Shaykh Ahmed al-Najjar. He has some of his books here that reply to specific issues that are within the Ashʿarīs today and otherwise. So he talks about this issue of Adam wal Malika. And also he has here's also Hurriyat al-Irada. Talks about, do people really have free will, and what are the different views upon this from Ahl al-Hadith, Ashʿarī, Mu'tazila, and the Shia, and the views of, are people really free in their choices, or are they, or is there not really true choice in their things? Also, he talks about Huduth al-Ālam. This is another book that he has, which is also great, talking about this issue. I haven't got into it, but I've heard some of his lectures. Of course, that takes a long time to get into. Also, Maqālat al-Tafwīd Bayn al-Salaf wal-Mutakallimīn. Of course, there's a book out there that's called Qawl al-Tamām fi Ithbāt al-Tafwīd Madhhab al-Sunnah al-Kiram li-Salaf al-Kiram. And so this book is a rad on it, and it's very, very strong. If someone understands this basic issue, that the Salaf didn't do Tafwīd, then everything after that is pretty clear that that this is not the way of the Salaf, and if it's not the way of the Salaf, then there's no purpose for someone to hold to it, of doing a ta'wil or tafweed in totality. And these are some other books that are about atheism, or like a reply on atheism, and also reply on some of the other issues of, like, whether it's evolution, also like the Sunnah, affirming the Sunnah, and also a reply against, like this last book here is also like a reply against the Nasara and whatnot, showing the proof of the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, lots of books, and don't expect me to have read all of them, but I'm on my way, inshallah. This will take a long time for someone to read all of these books, and it's not upon a person to read every single book from the beginning to end, as much it is to benefit from them. So by learning what's in the book, learning when that book is the time, or like when is the time for me to read that book, or for the student to read that book, this is more important than him just picking up every single book and going through it without any purpose, or like any order in general. So this, I hope, will give you a little insight into the libraries. No, I haven't read every single book out there, but the important thing is to benefit from it and to bring it out. Also, here's a couple other books from, there's a book, Masalik al-Rashid fi Kitab al-Tawheed, also a very important book by Sultan al-Umaydi, when it talks about, it's a good explanation of Kitab al-Tawheed that brings out a lot of issues that are very important when it comes to takfir and understanding istighatha. His breakdown of istighatha was very, it was something else, as opposed to some of the other books I found out there. This particular section here is like books that I'm currently reading or going through and studying, or that I go back to all the time. And this is kind of, it's important that somebody has a section of books that they're constantly referring back to. Like, so, for example, in Shafi'i, books that I constantly go back to, al-Iqna'. If I ever need a quick review of something in the Shafi'i madhab, I go to Iqna'. If I need, like, for the one view, If I need something that is, I need to know like the multiple views in the Shafi'i madhab and the evidences, I go to Mughni al-Muhtaj, and this is what I'm studying currently. And so this book is very important. Also, Minhaj al-Talibin. This is like the matan, and then this is the sharh that is the go-to sharh. For me, everyone has their go-to sharh, but if I were to spend my time reading from one sharh to the other, there'll never be any end. Like for example, that's the sharh, and then I could also be reading from all of these books here. So I have all the way at Najm al-Wahhaj. I'm going to read through every single one of these. Sometimes I'll compare them when I'm looking up something. I'll compare these different books, and there's next to nothing new. Like there's next to nothing new. Not to say that there's not something new, but there's next to nothing new. So I'll read one of them. So I'm reading Mughni al-Muhtaj, and then if I have a question or I need more clarity, I'll go to some of these other books in the same part, and then I'll benefit from what they have to say about it. But if I were to say I need to read every single one of them, it's like I'm rereading the same thing. So just having one book that you focus most of your time on, this is more beneficial, that you have a single book that you read multiple times, than for you to have a ton of books that you've read only once. And so this is a little overview of my library, and I hope this is beneficial for whoever's looking out there, and maybe encouraging for those who are studying or looking to study. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.